Rawr!
angry about cats.
When did we all get this dumb? Almost only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and nuclear warfare. I don't see any bodies, so it doesn't count.
I'm angry about cats.
I'm the chef. I want to hear one thing. Yes, chef. Come on, man. Use your brain. The Why I'm Angry podcast starts now. All right, guys. Hey, we are back here. Why I'm Angry podcast. It's the chef. We're in the Man Cave, freestyle Man Cave studio here. And, we're getting things done. Remember, get on the merch store, get some merch, get some of them t-shirts, I think we got fanny packs, we got stickers, we got just about everything. So get in, get some of that cool stuff, get on our website at whyimangry.com, help us out, donate, get in, check out what we're working with, what articles we're on, the news that we're tracking at any given time, and just get in and check it out. And then just anything you want to help us out, and then you want to be cheap about it, free, and helps us a great deal. Send us a review. Put a review on whatever site you're watching us on, whatever social medias you follow us on. Anytime you see our thing, put us in a little review. And anybody on your social medias, just send them out an invite, and just say you recommend us, and that really, really, really does a ton. And it doesn't cost you anything, which is great. So definitely get on there, and give us a little happy news. Remember, we're still doing t-shirts for 1 and 5-star reviews. So if you get 1 and 5-star reviews, we will give you a t-shirt, or we'll put you in a raffle for a t-shirt. I'm sorry, not everybody gets a t-shirt, but you can go on the page for as little as, I think it's $15, $16. You can get yourself a t-shirt. It's high quality t-shirts. It's hand spun cotton on most of our t-shirts. There's a couple sporty style t-shirts, under gear t-shirts that aren't made out of cotton. But get on our website. It's it's on the bottom here, or it's going to be scrolling across the bottom the whole show. If you get on, if you're listening now, get on the chats and shoot me some messages. I'm watching the chats right now. And send me some messages. See what we can get into. I have a list of articles that I'm going to kind of work with, and if you guys send me something that I haven't seen yet, we'll pop it up and see if it's something we can work with. Maybe we'll make it something funny. And give you a reaction if I put something on here that you don't like, or something you agree with. Give me an amen. We're not above that. Give me a, hey, wait a second on that, and we'll get you. We'll talk to you about it. Otherwise, if you're listening to this on the podcast, we so appreciate you. Try to listen to the end. I know it's a long podcast, a lot of times, or too long of a podcast. But if you can listen to the end, that gets us just a couple more cents, and keeps us running. Those ads that are on there give us just a little bit of advertising dollars and stuff. So help us out any way you can, and we appreciate all of that help. So let me do one more bit of paperwork here while I'm working on the podcast, and then we'll get into it. So here in the Freestyle Man Cave studio, it's the chef. Unfortunately, the other guys had to bow out for the night. Um, they gotta work. Lazy bums are working. So, um, unfortunately, it's just gonna be me and you, and we'll muddle through somehow. So, as I was getting ready to start this out, we there's the big news. Tucker Carlson is getting on the interwebs on his Tucker Carlson online website and is having an interview with the Russian president or Russian leader, dictator, whatever tater you want to call him, um, Vladimir Putin. And so, I kind of saw a few things. Was on Reddit, which I'll kind of do a fun troll of Reddit this today. And so I was looking at it, and it was, for one, why would Tucker Carlson go to Russia and talk to Putin? Well, because Putin is one of the most powerful men in the world. We always say that the president is the most powerful um, position that you could hold in the world. And in that being said, you know, the leaders of the large foreign countries are also, large leaders of the world. And so they do tip the hand. And so there isn't, there isn't a real question of why he would. I mean, you want ratings, you want to talk to the most influential people. I would say right now, the people who probably hold the most sway in the world are, as sad as it is, and I don't think he uses it well, but it's, Mr. President Biden, um, the communist dictator Xi Jinping, um, and your English prime minister, and Vladimir Putin in Russia. And to varying degrees, you have, the German chancellor, you have the French, you know prime minister, and things of that nature, and those guys to varying degrees depending on what we're talking about and things of that nature. If it's pouring out wine, obviously the French, you know prime minister is working on that lately. But if it's talking about, right now, the security threats and things of that nature that come against us as a country, or even our allies, you know we got to, talking to Russian presidents, it always has to come up, or always is one of those enticing things. The question really, though, then happens to be, what's in it for, Vladimir Putin? Is it does it help consolidate his power? Does it explain the reasons, or what he's doing? Is it just you know, a um, propaganda ploy so that, he makes, he solidifies his power and stuff like that? Well, what is it really you're doing? And then the question is, do we want to be a part of that, as as whatever we're called, as opinion journalists, as what, and I'm not putting myself in the same league or boat as Tucker Carlson, but as somebody that makes their living at doing interviews, does he want to, propagate and expand and give that person a platform that maybe otherwise wouldn't have a platform. And so, you know, so I listened to a little bit of it starting out. I couldn't listen to it the whole time because I was, preparing for the show and trying to become the most prepared as I could be for you guys. Because I don't want to let you guys down in any way. And so, I got on and I listened to a little bit of it. And so I think I got to listen to about 45 minutes to an hour. And the first for about half hour, 45 minutes is literally just him going through a history lesson. And Tucker Carlson even says in the beginning, like he was, he had allowed them to go, he had told him he would be, um, he would be, he'd let him talk. There was no time limit and stuff like that. And so they got on, he got on and he even said he thought he was filibustering. And from the beginning, I knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to build a case for why Ukraine should be Russian and not its own country. And so his whole you know explanation is that they came into Ukraine because, for one, Ukraine wanted it to, wanted them to, because they were Russian. Their heritage is Russian. They should have been Russian to begin with. The Ukrainian people, being Ukrainian isn't an actual, sect of people. It's not like a religious group or a whatever. It's a politically enhanced group of people that have been told that they're Ukrainian because they're on the outskirts of Russia. And so they really should be Russian because they follow Russia. They tried to escape Poland by going to Russia because they were part of Poland for a little while, and then this and that, and just the rigmarole. And I like the way he you know kind of framed World War II with Germany and how Poland worked with Germany. And so he kind of tried to tie it in that Poland was really a Nazi power, even though they didn't join the Axis of Evil, but they just kind of were part of that. They kind of can capitulated to the what was going on. And so, I mean, so if they were really capitulating, why, to me, why then did Russia, or then did Germany then have to take, they why did they have to go in and take over Poland? uh you know Whatever. But so it's just it was kind of a long wind up. But he did make, the fair points that, they were part of it, and this is why, and this is, and NATO. And the problem with it is some of the things that he said, because either he's in the inside, or because you can't corroborate what he's saying. um you kind of take with a grain of salt, because, like, he can't he said, "Oh, I talked to Bill Clinton about getting into NATO," and he says, "Yeah, yeah, man, probably." Which I could see Bill Clinton saying that, or President Clinton saying that, because you know he was a good talker. He kind of knew what was going on, what could work and what couldn't, and what could help him. And he was a great politician. And so, you know, with that, he's like, "Oh, well, let me talk," And so at the end of it, he said, "No, it wasn't gonna work out." And he probably not the right time right now, his guys said. And so, he got, he Tucker Carlson came in and said, "So you got up in your feelings a little bit." This is my version so you felt dejected, and and so he says, he goes, no, that's for women, that's for marriage or women and stuff. He goes, it was just political, and we were trying to, you know, build alliances, and so we had to build our alliances other ways, and blah blah blah. And so, some of these conversations you can't really corroborate, as he was, saying, talking about conversations he had with Bush Senior and Bush Junior, and things of that nature. Um, but we got into, he got into that a little bit finally. I got to listen to maybe about 5 or 10 minutes of actual, like, this is what's going on, and this is why Russia's where it's at today. And this is why we chose now to to go over, because Tucker Carlson broke in a couple times and said, so why does this why wait 22 years or whatever to decide to all of a sudden attack? And then he says, the one kind of just thing that Putin was really trying to escape was that he says, so you, in your speech to the Russian people, you said that NATO was taking, NATO was going to put its, nuclear capabilities, or its Russian, or its missile defense systems up around in Ukraine, and that you feared that the US or NATO, or NATO backed by the US, was going to attack Russia. And he says, "Oh, I didn't say that the US was going to attack Russia." Well, you may not have said, straight, the US is going to attack Russia, but you did say that a NATO backed US, or a US backed NATO, was going to, you feared that they would attack Russia, and this is why you had to, um, if Ukraine was able to become part of NATO, you had to attack before that happened, or whatever. And so that, you know, it makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, it's also, you know, it's also kind of stretching what the truth is, and what we make of it. So to me, I mean, the beginning of it's, I mean, if you wait, and if you kind of seed through about 30 minutes of it, you'll get through the Russian czars, all of them from 600 AD to, about 1800. So he goes back. He's like, it's like, when did this all start? And you go back to, well, I was born in 1982 on June 5th. It was a Friday, I think. I don't remember because I was so small. And you start talking for half an hour, 45 minutes, about how the things started. So, in other news, on Tuesday, Trump, the one of the district courts, I guess, wait while I open it. One of the district courts said that Trump has, presidents do not have immunity. Um, so we cannot accept former President Trump's claim that a president has unbound authority to commit crimes that would neutralize the most fundamental check on executive power, the recognition and implementation of election results. The three-judge panel from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit wrote that in its opinion. It added, for the purpose of this criminal case, which is the criminal case on whether he tried to overthrow the election out of South Carolina, Trump has become Citizen Trump. with all the defenses of any other criminal defendant. So basically, which I understand, they don't want to set a precedent that as president you have full and unbridled immunity, meaning that if you were to commit war crimes or something like that, that they would not, or treason even, while you were president, that you would not be brought up on charges. So this insurrection, if they bring him up on charges of insurrection, that's pretty much treason. Um, so with that come certain consequences. The last person we brought up on treason charges, we hung. Um, there's that. And then, like, in all of the cases, I mean, they're trying these cases out already. I mean, people are already going to jail, are already going to prison over some of this stuff. And we're trying, we've been trying these out. But nobody's been charged with insurrection. Nobody else has been charged. You got the Georgia cases where they're being charged with, conspiracy to commit a crime or RICO charges, or, I guess you got Rudy Giuliani, who's gotten convicted of having impugned upon or made false accusations against people, which you can say, oh no, he made false accusations, or you can't, but that's here or there. I think it's funny though. I saw a thing on Reddit, and it's like, people are on there, and some of them said, one said, not my main 2639 said, I kind of expect South Carolina to just refuse the case and let this ruling stand. There isn't much of a win for them either way if they do take it. And then somebody says, right, if they overturn it, they are saying that the president is immune to criminal prosecution, even when they are no longer in office. That is insane. And there's no way founders intended that. And the original Jack Smith wanted the case to go directly to the Supreme Court, since it was always going to go there anyways. He has said that he's going to appeal the case, and I mean, and in one part of it, he just flat says, I disagree. His the yeah, let's see if I can find his quote. Trump's argument is weak, blah blah. Because I don't believe that they should have full immunity. I mean, there are things that you do, but I also believe that we can't just go and, like, for the purposes of like January 6th, we can't obviously go in and say, because he said, let's come together and blah blah blah. We can't say, well, he incited something. That part of it needs to be, because he has to say things that unify the country. And we can't hold him accountable sometimes for the way groups of people, I mean, without him running into a theater yelling fire, and then the reaction of the people, and that's kind of I guess that's kind of the part of, the hard question is, it is legal to walk into a theater and yell fire. it's illegal when people are getting trampled and running out of the theater. And so with things like this, if it's not war crimes, if it's if it's questions, I mean, I guess I was taught as a student that to question the authority, not in a we're gonna riot and loot and burn and stuff way, but that if you're listening, if you're getting you know if you're getting information that doesn't seem like it follows the rule of law or the way that we're supposed to run, then you need to question that authority, you know? And so, when he questions what happened in the election or even goes the legal route and sues the state or whatever, that's just the normal questioning of authority. The problem is had the founding fathers not won the war for independence, their question of authority would have been that they were treasonous against the King of England. And really, um, you know, had they not accepted our sovereignty, they could have never been allowed to go back to England, because of their treasonous acts. So, you know, that's kind of how things go in this, and so it's gonna be legislated out. And some people were like, "Oh, this just helps him out in his track to delay things till after the election, and then he if he wins, then he can just make it all go away with immunity or whatever." And so, like, we already decided, like, I mean, they just decided he's not getting immunity. And if they do end up running that he has some sort of presidential immunity, um, it's not a far-reaching overall immunity. It's kind of a case-by-case immunity, and I think that the Supreme Court then decides what immunity it gets and what immunity he gets and things of that nature. But, as that goes, you know, at this point, if he gets through the next few months while still being able to run for president, I'd be surprised. I mean, it's just, there's one case after another case after another. And the precedent that not having some sort of immunity sets is that the second you leave office, here come the prosecutors. And then who honestly would want to even be president? We don't want the most qualified person to want to be president anymore because we're going to prosecute them the second they leave office because their opponent. I mean, we talked about this last week. We're not supposed to be able to arrest our political opponents because they're our political opponents. I mean, let's go back to Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton then. Let's just duel it out on the streets. Let's just dueling pistols at 100 paces and blast each other. Let's do that. That actually sounds like it's good TV, as opposed to let's just sit here and argue all the time. I mean, obviously, now that I've said it, it's probably you know borderline, talking about raising anarchy, but at the same point, at least then something's decided, and you're set. But that's what we're moving towards by allowing before this, there has been no ex-presidents that have been prosecuted. And I even said this, and we had Nixon, who used the CIA, who knew about, spying on his political opponents. I mean, heck, we knew about Barack Obama spying on political opponents. And even to the fact of, with while President Trump was running for office, they were investigating him. So is and what was great about the comments is, when I went down farther, is all of the people were like, "Oh, the right just wants an a a strong arm government. They just want a monarchy. They just want a king, a dictator, blah blah." Well, what are we getting right now? Like, yes, our president is super weak, but at the same time, we've got no say in it. It doesn't matter what the normal person says if you're not yelling from a lettered standpoint, or putting in your, or anything else, you don't have a say. So, I just i- it's just a no-win situation. And it's like I told my father-in-law this today when I was picking up my 2-year-old. I just don't think that we have any standing in who becomes, and who is no is becoming president. I just don't. I'm starting to lose that faith that we, the people, really decide or really have what's going on about it. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll gain the faith again, but at this point, you're looking at a Trump candidate, and whoever gets to run against him, whether it's Biden or Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom, who made some decent points in his debate with DeSantis. But there's also that guy that has the Kennedy last name, who, in all honesty, one of those two could unite the younger crowd and the older crowd, where they bring the older Democrats that are almost to the point of disenfranchised with Uncle Joe the Baden, and who wouldn't really vote for one of these new age hippie kids, um, or maybe even wouldn't vote for you know one of those one of the others in there that just have gone so far. You know, your Bernie Sanderses and stuff. They're out there. They're beyond. But some of these new kids coming in are so far more dangerous, with the fact that they want to greenify everything, and they're going to do it at the expense of, we haven't found the solution to get there yet. And in no time in the process of developing things have we ever cut our leg off before we found the prosthetic, or the thing that continues us walking. So when we decided to go away from horses, we already had what was better. We had cars. We were starting to develop cars and gas engines and steel and coal and steel and things of that nature that could propel us farther. When we went away from gas powering gas burning our houses down and lighting them at the same time, we we got electricity, but we didn't go away from gas in our houses. as our light source or as our heat source before we got electricity. We didn't just take it all out because it's dangerous. It can't no. It was relatively safe, and so until we found a better alternative, we went with it. And then when we got the better alternative, we went with the better alternative. But this is for the sake of changing for the ideology of that this is going to make the planet better. I don't understand one how a few years with whatever, less emissions or whatever is going to completely change thousands of years of evolution or of the world doing what the world does. But I'll go I'll go with your pseudoscience and say, okay, we should be good stewards of the world, and we should take care of this. And so let's go to cleaner powers. Let's go to an electricity source that can power us with less energy, with less trying. So when we run a coal power plant, there's a lot of things, a lot of energy that goes into getting the coal out of the ground, getting the coal to the power plant, getting the coal in the power plant, things of that nature to run the generators that create the electricity. And so let's find a way that's cleaner to do that. And you can't say that solar and wind is a better way yet. Because for one, solar panels, they run at best on their best day 80% efficiency. And after, this, especially the ones I've done a lot of research on the ones that work in your homes and the ones that work for your homes. I mean 40 to 60% is you're doing good. And so on once they start to degrade, which happens after about 10 years and degrades down to about 5% after about 15 years. I mean, I feel 5%, unless you're really running lots and lots of kilowatts, you got nothing. So what I think, what we're doing here, with going to all the green energy and things like that. I mean, I know you've heard it from everybody, but I think the whole process isn't the right way of doing it. It's okay. We see a problem, we fix a problem. We don't see a problem and throw out all of what we're doing right now without having a solution to the problem. Unless you're willing to run around here without the protections that we need as humans, as squishy skin, human beings that have to wear coats and in the winter and have homes to keep them warm and cool in the summer, and guns to protect us and keep us at the top of the food chain. Unless you're willing to do without some of that stuff, we need to kind of keep the lights on. So a couple good things came up in science this week. Scientists discover a new type of immune cell that remembers allergies and produces antibodies that trigger the reactions. Um, and then the finding basically may be able to lead to new treatments for the common allergies. So obviously, if you've got a huge food allergy to peanuts or something like that, that it may not be able to completely take that away, but it may be able to set up the antibodies that maybe you don't die from it in 3 or 4 minutes. Maybe you just puff up and you take your EpiPen and then you're good again, and it's not quite as serious, because I even read an article 2 weeks ago about somebody that died from un un classified peanuts, or undeclared peanuts in their gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free cookies. I mean, I don't know why, like, if you're gonna take away, all of your gluten and your dairy and all of that, you probably should understand that you can't have cookies. And you can't have, obviously you're not eating meat, so you can't have bacon or steaks or anything like that. You probably should cut out donuts and just live a miserable a miserable life. I say that tongue in cheek because I have done that for a month or so at a time. Well, because I did it more for religious, just reset my body, reset my priorities, tell myself that it's not in charge, that I am in charge, and things of that nature. But if you have to do it for your health, I do apologize. It isn't perfect, and it isn't great. And I know how the craving for just even chips was just like something that you didn't have to think about whether it had gluten or nuts or whatever else in it. Is just a mind blow to you. It's just one of those terrible, like, you have to think about everything that you're eating and stuff like that. That's it just kills you. So, but that would be really great. Scientists discover this new immune cell therapy, and then I also saw that researchers identified a single mutation that may allow engineered T cells to effectively target solid tumors. So right now they use T cells in CR, it's CAR T therapies, and they largely focus on blood cancers. But a lot of the hard tumors, they can't, depending on where they're at and stuff like that, they can't take them out of your body. And so you end up with, either a big lump, or if they do take them out of your body, you end up with a big crater or something like that, because they were hard cells that kind of took over that space. And so this would actually allow the T cells to target those solid tumors, and they would be able to, like, start to break them up with antibodies and things like that, that the T cells would help make. So this is one that everybody's been talking about since Terminator came out. Robotics firm Boston Dynamics demonstrates its Atlas robot performing tasks similar to working in an auto factory, including where it was lifting 30-pound components. So I've seen this robot be attacked, like, they've done some AI, like, things where they've, kicked the robot and stuff like that, attacked it, and it can do some, like, different moves and stuff like that. Um, and they've taught it different things of that nature. But it's now back doing medium weight car parts, while the robot has mastered a lot of bipedal tricks, like walking, running, jumping. It can even do backflips. It's still in the very early stages of picking stuff up. Um, so when we last saw it, it had rudimentary hand clamps and was using those to carry heavy objects like a toolbox or barbells, or a big plank of wood or something like that. So now they're trying to focus it on kinetic challenges, basically working things are that are heavy enough to mess with the robot's balance. Um, so picking them up, making the calculations to, and this honestly is the biggest thing is we don't realize how many calculations that our brain makes every second or every minute that we're standing. Like until like Honest Abe with his with his new leg and stuff like that is kind of starting to figure out like his ankle's sore, because his ankle is taking on more stabilizing uh jobs and things like that, and just it's working a lot harder now. And so he's learning that, and his ankle strengthening and stuff like that. But the things that your brain does to keep you upright, like think about if you like slip on a stair, or if you step off a curb wrong, or something like that, where if your brain didn't do a bunch of recalculations and figure out where your foot should land, or where or how your foot should tighten up and stuff, because you're not thinking at that time. You're just going through the motions of trying to stabilize yourself, but you're not really thinking about foot move this way, leg move this way, and things of that nature. And so that's what they really have to, those are the hurdles that they have to overcome with programming robots. And with AI coming into play, AI can kind of smooth out some of those things that you wouldn't think of, because AI will be able to do tests faster than what we could do like this, where you just, oh, we missed it, he's gonna drop it now. AI will be able to do kind of a roundabout test on it, and be able to be like, okay, this is what it can do. And so it'll check, it'll get in there, and kind of, like I said, round it out. At the same time, when AI does finish its tests, and it finishes getting, figuring out how to do all of this stuff, then what stops it from continuing on, um, and its learning? Not that it becomes another consciousness, but the more we try to put consciousnesses into AI and robots and stuff like that, um, where's it end? Do we end up in Terminator, or Terminator 2, or Terminator 3? Where do we end up? Um, so I think it's good, but at the same time, some of those jobs working on cars and stuff, high paying jobs. They're good jobs for people who don't have a ton of skill set. Who didn't go to a bunch of schooling, some of those jobs require some engineering, or that have, some of those, but you know, at the same time, they put the robots in, and you still have to have a manager or somebody that maintenances those robots, and creates a new group of people out there that are working on those things. And you know, maybe that group of people doesn't have to work as hard. Maybe they don't have to lift 30-pound medium weight car parts every day. So maybe it's a great thing that they take their jobs. We'll find new jobs for them in data analytics, or or robotic maintenance. And so as there are more robots, obviously there's more robot maintenance guys, and those guys get paid great money too. Now, a lot of them have to have more training. Um, you know, Honest Abe works on uh installing robotic machines. And so, he's gone through quite a few trainings, and things like that, to get where he's at. Um, you know, but that also then, that extends the gap then between your entry level fast food work or your, and these upper level jobs that now take this much training. Used to be you could walk out of high school and walk into GM and they say, "Are you hardworking and honest, loyal?" And they say, "Yep." And they say, "All right, get your hands in there and start turning this bolt." And they, person would turn that bolt and then turn that bolt and then on the next one turn that bolt. And they'd, make 15, $10 an hour when the minimum wage was a buck or two, and as it went up, the wages went up, and I don't know what they make now or what, they just had a strike and you know that kind of thing. So what their wages are, but when I was looking at, I was working security at Honda. I know they were making $30, $40 an hour, and they had no union dues or wages or anything like that to pay, and they were good. And then I knew that some of the guys had come from um GM and stuff like that, and they were making 60, $70 an hour, but they were paying $20 an hour in union dues. 500, $600 a week or a month in union dues. So it all comes to, it all evens out, and whether it's good or bad, I guess we'll find out, because we're not slowing down on this thing. We're not slowing down on AI or robots or anything anytime soon. So um yeah. But I mean, it's kind of crazy to see. I mean, if you watch the video, it it gets around. It's at Atlas Struts on YouTube. So Uber posts its first full year of profits since going public in 2019. Who would have thought that at that time Uber would have to take 4 more years, almost 5 years, to post profits for a full year? So did better than expected in quarter four, and yeah, so posting profits, which is kind of what you look for if you're running a business. So getting into the odd news. So picture this: sitting at home, nothing's going on, and all of a sudden, your house sounds like it's being beat upon by a metal, a sheet of 1 1/4 inch metal. Well, some people up in Mount Airy neighborhood of Philadelphia on Tuesday, they were left baffled as they looked on their roof after hearing a big thud, and all of a sudden, all they saw was this giant piece of metal with a hole in it on their roof. Couldn't figure out what it was. Called the authorities. So it looks like it's it looks they said the Fabian Lima told CBS Philadelphia it looks exactly like a plane window section. I haven't heard of any planes missing doors in this area, so I have a hard time saying that it was, that with a straight face, but it's the only thing I can think of. The couple say they believe the object may have fallen from a plane, but they did not hear it land on the roof, so they weren't home, or at least didn't hear it land on the roof. But just picture this, picture that you look at your house and all of a sudden there's a giant piece of metal with, you know, a window hole in it, basically. A team of inspectors from the Federal Aviation Administration visits the couple's home Wednesday to take photos of the object, which has now been removed finally. from their roof. The Lemas said the inspectors asked them to keep the object safe until the investigation is complete, which is weird that they didn't take it with them to investigate. But maybe they want to keep it. I don't know. Maybe they're like, let's claim it as a collector's item for years to come, and then we can like pass it down to our kids, and they can tell the story of how one day a giant piece of metal flew out of the sky and landed on, Grandma Gertrude's roof or whatever. And we can all revel at the sight of Grandma Gertrude's metal that landed on her roof. So a I guess a Chicago family experienced a similar situation in July of last year when a evacuation slide fell from a plane approaching O'Hare International Airport and struck their house. The slide caused damage to the roof shingles, downspouting in the kitchen window screen before ending up in the backyard. FAA investigators determined a United Airbus Boeing 767 that had landed at O'Hare moments after the impact was missing its slide. So at least they didn't have a slide smash into their house and smash their house all up. But, they seem like they're just baffled about what it was from. So, I mean, if you look at it, it does kind of look like that. But, I don't know how. It looks almost too thick to be an airliner, like door window area type thing. And it only looks like a piece of it if it is. So I don't know what kind of airplane is flying up there. Um, or pieces are falling out of our airplanes. I try not to ask my wife too much about some of those mishaps or things that happen in the airline industry. And she always tells me she's not allowed to talk about it too much. So just know there are things that maintenance and those guys know that have not gone out into the public. So yeah, just planes flying, doors coming off. You got this ladder come out. Things are happening. Also, construction crew unearths a World War II era bomb. And you would think, okay, World War II era bomb. It's got to be France. Could be Germany. Could be, yeah, it could be England. Could be London. Nope. Florida. Near Tampa. At near the right around the Tampa near the Tampa airport. Um, let's see. Yep, near the Tampa airport. In Brooksville, near the Brooksville Tampa Bay Regional Airport, they discovered a buried ordnance. It's about 1,000-pound bomb. And I was like, oh, in Florida? Like, I'm like, who's bombing Florida? Well, it wasn't really a bombing of Florida or anything like that, or from a bombing. The sheriff's office said the bomb came from most likely the Air Force base that was there at the time. During World War II, there was a military Air Force base there for training purposes. They flew the B-17 Flying Fortresses and the B-24 Liberators, which were both bombers. And so with that, there was probably ordnance on the property that got buried, and they said that it was a Mark 65 DK, so that it was inert. It wasn't dangerous anymore. Although it is 1,000-pound bomb, they are going to dispose of it off of the MacDill Air Force Base outside of Tampa, also. So it sounds like they just moved the Air Force Base, and because the property was getting changed over the airport, they didn't fight it too much there. So Let's go. Let's find one more here, or another one here. Yeah, let's roll into Honest Abe's territory. A Oklahoma woman has a Last Airbender collection that earns her a world record. Guinness Book of World Records came out to her house and checked out her 2,026 items for the Legend of Korra, which is an animated series and sequel series. Oh, and the sequel series Legend of Korra for the Last Airbender off of Nickelodeon. Um, she says probably her favorite thing is the pilot script. Um, it's something that she actually got on eBay a few years ago after the show had finished airing. And she's never seen another one come back across. So that means that anyone who read it then just threw it away, or is a collector also and likes and kept them. Carrie says she was drawn to the show, which is soon getting a live action series on Netflix. When it first started airing in 2005, I think I really identify with it because it's a mix of cultures. Carrie said it's really heavily Asian inspired, and I love Asian culture. She looks fairly Caucasian, but let's not judge. We don't care. Um, I like Asian culture. I like Asian food. I like to cook Asian food. I like to eat Asian food. So, maybe I could get, and maybe I would, you know, identify with the Asian cultures in The Last Airbender. Yeah, and in this show, the Native American aspect of it, there's also a Native American aspect of it. There's Native American culture, and I myself am Cherokee. So, see, Cherokee Nation. And so there was this blending of interests as well as what I identify with. So yeah. So if you identify something with something and you collect 2,000 or more items, you may be in the running for Guinness Book of World Records. If it's Star Wars items, you're nowhere close. I know some guys that would make 2,000 items look like you just started your collection on Tuesday. So, but yeah, get out there, get your collection going, and identify with something, I guess. So this last odd, or last ish odd, is a Guinness Book of World Records admits that it was too heavy handed in its rejecting a man's entry and gives him the title. So the Guinness Book of World Records even can admit that it was wrong. It's not too big to admit. So Frenchman Richard Plaud had built a model of the Eiffel Tower using 700,000 plus matchsticks, but said they rejected him because the structure must be built from matchsticks that are available to the public for purchase and don't have flammable red tips. He said that after he put in about he originally started buying them and cutting off the tips, and he got tired of it. It was just too hard, too much going on. I mean, 700,000. How many matches do you think you'd have to clip to get tired of clipping matches? How many? Would you think 100,000 that you're just out there clip, 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 clip? Maybe he's got a machine. Maybe he doesn't have a machine, and that's why isn't clipping them enough. How many? How many? How many matches? No one? Any reactions? Anybody want to put in how many matches they would have to clip to get bored and tired of it? Right now I'm looking at Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. I got Rumble up here. How many matches? 700,000 matches. He decides, okay, can't do this anymore. Not going to clip him. He contacts the local match manufacturer or the main French match manufacturer and gets the little wooden rods delivered to him in 15-kilogram boxes. How much is 15-kilogram boxes? Well, I did my homework and I checked it out. It's about 33 pounds. So 33-pound boxes. I did not check out how many matches come in a 33-pound box, but this guy he's 47 years old. It took him 8 years. He started this at 39. It took him 8 years and 4,200 hours of assembly to put 706,900 matches to great use, building the Eiffel Tower. So he's in the Book of World Records now for the world's tallest structure made of matches, measuring 7.19 meters. For those of you in the U.S., that's 23.6 feet tall. So about 23.7, 23 foot 7 inches. If you're not able to do the conversion on the whole, points of things. I mean, the matchstick model is pretty nice. It's even got the names and stuff written on it and everything. Yeah, looks great. But he was pretty upset when it happened. In a scathing social media post, he said the decision was a great disappointment. Scathing. Great disappointment. I guess if you're French, great disappointment is a scathing review. He relayed the record company's reasons for rejecting his work. But within 24 hours, they said they released a new statement saying, because our director said we take a lot of pride in being as thorough as possible, which I will say, when reviewing evidence, because our rules and evidence requirements it levels the playing field for everyone everywhere who wants to attempt a record. Having a strict set of rules of how to get into your book or how to get into your Hall of Fame or how to get into your whatever exclusive club is what makes it exclusive. So if you break the rules for this or you break the rules for that, you're now making it less exclusive. So it's like the Hall of Fame in baseball. They want to induct someone every year or some people every year because that, gives them the press of, keeps them relevant. But they won't just say, well, nobody was good enough to be inducted this year. And so sometimes people who maybe were good players or even great players, but just weren't better than some of their that there were better contemporaries at that time, they shouldn't get in. I mean, if your Hall of Fame doesn't, like, what's the level? Should Guinness Book of World Records be should it be the greatest person or the greatest feats? I guess that's what you have to decide, is whether that's, it's the best, the best of the best, or if it's just, an inclusive best of the best. And I think if you're doing an inclusive best of the best, what's that guy? What's that look like? I mean, I'm a Tigers fan, and even like I I don't know that like Jack Morris maybe shouldn't have gotten in. I don't know that he was the greatest of his time period. It was worthwhile guy to getting in. So, you know, that's my opinion is that if you get a world's record, this guy's got a world's record. It's 26 foot tall. That seems pretty freaking tall, but at the same point, if he didn't clip all of the red tips off the matches like everyone else that it came before him, then he took an unfair advantage. Those people took hours and hours. If he took 42 hours or 4,200 hours or whatever it was to build this thing, and other people, yeah, 4,200 hours of assembly, but he got a shortcut because he didn't have to clip off the red tips. Is it really as awesome? I don't know. So I came across a couple of articles that kind of we're going to be live next week on 7 days. Should make it the 15th, right? Let me get the calendar out here. Let me check her out. Yep, we'll be live on the 15th. So I had a couple articles that were based on Valentine's Day. I think you'll enjoy them. One is that if if you're feeling a little frisky on Valentine's Day or feeling a little dejected, maybe heartbroken, you may find some healing in your journey by naming a cockroach after your ex. The San Antonio Zoo is allowing you to name a cockroach after one of your exes or all of your exes if you have some money. So how it works is people can make a donation of $5, $10, or $25. Name the cockroach or a rodent or a vegetable if you're one of those after someone, and then they will feed it to an animal as a symbolic gesture of you taking care and getting some closure on that relationship. It's a fundraiser. It has brought in more than $225,000 since its inception. This has been going on since 2020. So I'm not sure why no one has told me before this that it's going on, but I did see it. New this year is that they're using to raise money is a hippo poop scented candle inspired by Timothy the hippo. Um, and then they have an adults only tour called Naughty by Nature, which explores the world of mating rituals. So the San Antonio Zoo is taking this whole Valentine's Day thing pretty seriously to try to raise some money. There's also a singles event to meet your next ex and a candle lit dinner experience, hopefully not with hippo candles, inside the Africa Live exhibit with a backdrop of hippos, crocodiles, and other species. So their fundraising so far has brought in about 225,000. And they're just, so they've got donations from all 50 states and over 30 countries so far in 2023. So get on, send your online donations to the San Antonio Zoo and get your ex eaten. And not in that way, in a bad way, obviously. Last article. The okay. I think. Let's see where we're going here. Let's see if I got the article. Oh, I do. Okay. It says that scientists say that love languages are fake. So there's all kinds of tests out there, even in the Christian community and everything. And it says and they always ask, "What's your love language? Is it works? Is it words of affirmation? Is it just physical touch? Physical. Just being close and that. Um, is it quality time? You know, I think I got them all. Acts of service, physical time, affirmation. Yep, receiving gifts. Um, what is it? And the theory of love languages, coined by Baptist preacher Gary Chapman in a book written over 30 years ago, is ubiquitous on the internet and IRL. The phrase is often used in conversations about love. TikTok quizzes have been dedicated to the question. The apps like Hinge have concocted romantic theories based on the idea. But the idea of love languages may be largely unfounded with little empirical backing, according to a new paper from researchers at the University of Toronto and York University. So, people actually spent hard earned money to do research on whether we respond more favorably to certain love languages. Seems like money well spent. We've got guys that are doing research on T cell therapy for large, hardened tumors, and guys that are scientists that are discovering immune cells that that remember allergies and produce antibodies that trigger reactions. And then we got these guys in Canada who are researching your love language and whether it's crap or not. They also emphasize that the languages may not encompass all of the meaningful ways that people express and feel love. Finally, the paper found that very little evidence that partners with matching love languages foster better relationships. Well, that's 100% because you have to then still go out and work that love language. You still got to talk in that language, and if that's the only way you talk, maybe you're not good at talking to someone else in that language. You just like it for yourself. So, there you go. Makes a ton of sense to me. Oh, yeah. So with that, I just leave you with, if you get through Valentine's Day, we'll be here on next Thursday, 8 o'clock, like your trusty steed. And letting you know and trying to get you to think for yourself. Some free thinking light. Get our merch. Help us out by listening to the podcast. Shoot us a 1 or 5 star review. Get yourself in the drawing for a t-shirt. and get out there and like and share our podcast. It's free. Free to like, free to share, free to send it to your friends. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week. Remember to follow, like, and share the Why I'm Angry podcast across all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast. The Why I'm Angry podcast ends now.